Tlixam, Tlixam, Tlakia, Tlakia, Tlati, Tlati, Sloch, Sloch, Lalagwade, Lalagwade, Lakacha, Lakacha.
Let's take a closer look at lateral sounds. So lateral sounds, if you take a look at the word lateral, the definition of it could be from the sides. So in á'islak, or in some English words as well, you'll see a lateral sound. And what this means is that when we're making a lateral sound, we're taking the tip of our tongue. So if this is our upper lip, that's our upper teeth. Then we have a little bump behind our front teeth. This is the alveolar ridge. And what we're doing is we're taking the tip of our tongue and putting it there. So it makes contact with the alveolar ridge. And then what we're doing with the airflow is we're blowing the air out around the sides of our tongue. So the word lateral, from the sides, means we're blowing air around the sides of our tongue. So if you think of the mouth, this is our tongue. When we make a lateral sound, we're blowing air out around the sides of our tongue. If you look at a front view of your mouth, here's our teeth up here. Our tongue is going to come up and make contact behind our teeth. And then the air will come out through the sides. That's how we generate lateral sounds. So before we look at some examples, I want to take a closer look at the symbols that are used to represent lateral sounds. So if you've never seen this symbol before, it kind of looks like an upside down Y. This symbol is the equivalent of DL used in box orthography. And this symbol is called a lambda. We also have another version of this lambda where it's very much the same, but it has a line going through the top of it, or the middle part. And in box orthography, he represents this with a T and an L together. And this would be referred to as a barred lambda, because of the bar that goes through it. We have another variation of this symbol. We have the lambda, a line going through the middle. There's also an apostrophe over top of it. In box orthography, he represented this a couple of different ways, but it usually involved a T with an apostrophe and an L. So sometimes the apostrophe was between the T and the L, sometimes it was over top of the T. So this is like the barred lambda, but it's what we call ejective or glottalized. And the last special symbol that we have has a few different names. Sometimes this is called a barred L because it's a lowercase l. Sometimes you'll see a line going straight through it. Sometimes it'll be a slanted line. Sometimes there'll be a line that's looped on one side. Other times you'll see the L with a squiggly line going through it. And this is called a tilted L. Because this symbol here is called a tilde. So we're combining the tilde with the L. So some English examples of alveolar sounds, or lateral sounds I should say. With the lambda, think of the English word ladle. So we have the D and the L together. That's represented by this lambda symbol here. With the barred lambda, think of the word battle or battle. You have the T and the L together making a tl sound. So the regular lambda sounds like tla. Barred lambda sounds like tla. Tla. Then we have the barred ejective lambda. And it's very similar to the barred lambda, making the tl sound, but it's ejective or glottalized. And there's no English equivalent for this sound, but it basically sounds like tl. Next we have an L, and this sounds very much like the L in lily. So we have a regular L, and we have an L with an apostrophe over top of it. And this is a glottalized L. And there's no English equivalent, but if you think of the regular L with a pause in front of it, that's a glottalized L. What we're doing when we're making lateral sounds is we're taking our tongue, putting the tip of it against our alveolar ridge here behind our upper front teeth, and we're letting the air blow out around the sides of our tongue. That's what they mean by lateral. And the first letter we're going to take a look at here is this symbol here is called a lambda. So it kind of looks like an upside down Y. In other orthographies, the lambda is represented by the letters D and L together. So it represents a dl sound. You start off with a D and then L, dl. So an example of this being used in á'islak is tliksam, which is silverweed. Gliksam. So we're taking the tip of our tongue, putting it against the alveolar ridge to make that D sound, and then it becomes an L sound, dla. So that's what's represented by this lambda symbol, dla, gliksam. We also have another version of this lambda. It has a little bar going through it, and this is represented in other á'isla orthographies by the letter TL. So we're starting off with a T sound and ending with an O sound. And an example of this being used in á'islak is tlakya, which means to paddle. Tlakya. We also have the same symbol. We have the lambda with the bar going through it. We also have an apostrophe over top of it. And this is usually represented by the letters T and L with an apostrophe. So sometimes it's between them, sometimes it's over top of the T. And it's similar to the barred lambda, making a tl sound, but the apostrophe tells us that we're using our glottis beforehand. So we're closing our glottis, closing our vocal cords, and we're forcing out a little bit more air. So an example of this being used in á'islak is tlati. Tlati. So that is á'islak in Greece. We also have an L with, sometimes it has a squiggly line going through it, sometimes it has kind of a loop, sometimes it's a straight line, but regardless of which symbol is being used, this is usually represented in other orthographies as LH. And this symbol makes a sound. And an example of this word being used in á'islak is sloch. Sloch. So that's, technically this would be called a tilted L. Sometimes I refer to it as a barred L. We also have a regular L, like in English. An example of this in á'islak is langauge, which means butterfly. So that's a regular L. We also have a glottalized L. And an example of this being used in á'islak is lakaha, which means thimbleberry. Lakaha. So with this one, it's like some of the other glottalized consonants where it's difficult to hear it at the beginning of a word. So another example that we can use is li'laka. Li'laka means to dry berries. So there you can really hear the second glottalized L. So there's kind of a pause. You say li, then you close your glottis, which is basically holding your breath, very, very quickly releasing the next L. Li'laka. Li'laka. We put that symbol in the wrong place. Li'laka. So those are lateral sounds. Wa.